Okay, cool. So tonight we're basically going to continue with our write-ups. So it's still going to be lab time. I will take a moment to just kind of do one together as a class on the principles of design. Okay. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the process again, sort of like how my brain breaks down the image, right? It's just a series of like 6 questions roughly, and we're just going to kind of do it together as a class. Okay. So I'm going to use this as an example because there's 2 types of students, right? There's the students that are like, I can't see it, but I can write it. And there's other students that are like, I can see it, but I cannot write it, right? So it's one or the other. So let's just start off with the folks that just maybe having a hard time seeing it and breaking down the principles from just like a one-off first time point of view, okay? This is a poster, Coca-Cola poster, okay? And if I was going to say, what are the principles of design on this image, then basically in my brain, I would go through, go down the list from the red arrows here on the principles of design, okay? So you see the image on the left, and the center is the principles with the little red arrows. I basically start with my first question. I always ask this question, in my mind, when I look at a graphic, I just say to myself, if a 5-year-old were to walk in the room and look at my screen right now, what's the first thing they would see in this image? Okay, so that's the first question. What would a 5-year-old see for the first time if they walked in and looked at this graphic? And so that's the first thing that I would ask. What's the first thing that you would notice here? So I ask you guys a question. What's that first thing that you can see? You can type in one word that represents the thing, but what's the first thing that you would see when you see this graphic or this poster, Or if a 5-year-old, let's say, would walk in and saw this image for the first time, then what's the first thing you would see? What's the first thing that he or she, the child, would see for the first time, okay? And you can type it in really quick. If you said or are thinking in your mind that it's the guy, the person, the colors, maybe it's the red and then the person, then you are correct, right? That's like the first ultimate question. The simplest, most obvious thing is the focal point, right? So the first thing that you notice, if it's the person, that's your focal point, okay? So you've already determined the focal point. If it's the red background, that's the first thing that you notice, followed by the person second. That's your focal point, okay? Everyone varies, okay, when it comes to their first thing, but generally that's the focal point, right? So if you said the background, that's fine. If you said it was the person, that's fine. But that's your focal point. That's the first thing. So you've already accomplished one part of your write-up, which is the focal point, emphasis/focal point, okay? So when I think of emphasis/focal point, then that means that the contrast is married to it. You can't have a focal point without contrast. They're just going hand in hand, right? So because everyone said focal point, then automatically there's contrast. And on the document that I gave you, there's 3 types of contrast happening in the image. And it's kind of hard to see, so hopefully I can find a little bit of the larger version there. It's a little hard to see here. But on the doc, there's 3 types of contrast happening that's given to you. There's size, shape, and color, right? So when you're contrasting something, size means really simply big, small, bigger, smaller, whatever. If you are seeing contrast of colors, that's obviously different colors. If you see contrast of shapes, then that's different shapes, right? And sometimes it could be 1, 2, or all of 3 of them, okay? So you pick one, or you could talk about all 3 in this description, right? So I see focal point. Focal point is the person, let's say, and then there's contrast of colors, okay? Contrasting colors is what brings the focal point of the person, okay? Does that kind of make sense? So there's contrast of colors happening in the image. So now, and you're breaking it down. We're deconstructing, okay? Then I ask myself the third question, which is, okay, so what's the balance, right? Right, so is it symmetrical or asymmetrical balance, okay? So in my analysis, I'm halfway done. I'm basically asking the question. So if I were to draw a red frame over this picture, right? And then let's say it's kind of hard to see, so let me change the color to blue. And let's say I kind of drew this blue line down the middle of it, okay? Then is the left identical to the right of the blue line? And the answer is no, absolutely not. So that means it is asymmetrical, okay? Think of it as like, symptomatic, I sense things, I see it. Asymptomatic, there's no feeling, no symptom, right? Same idea. Symmetrical means it's the same on the left and on the right, but asymmetrical means it's different. It's not the same on the left and the right. So it's asymmetrical. So then in my write-up, I'm also going to say that this design is asymmetrical, and you could get real specific because there is a partial Coca-Cola swirl on the left, because you see predominantly the body on the left side of the image, because the Coca-Cola logo is on the right side and not on the left. You pick what is different from left and right, as long as we know it's different, okay? And you're being descriptive about it. So that's halfway through. Question number 4, I'm gonna ask then, scale and proportion, bigger and smaller. Pretty obvious. If you said that the Coca-Cola logo on the lower right of the image is small and the person's big, that's the proportion and scale, great. If you said it's the Coca-Cola logo or swirl that's kind of partially coming into the poster, and that's the biggest thing, followed by the person, then that's proportion and scale. That's fine too. But you're basically zooming in and saying there's scaling in this. There's a variation of size, right? Kind of like contrasting sizes, but you're getting a little bit more specific on it, okay? So you got that covered. That's pretty easy. The last two, harmony, and I gotta go back to the image here so I don't lose anybody. The last two, which is basically the harmony and the variety, this is where students get a little confused because there's a fine line. Harmony real simply means I see a lot of a certain element happening here, okay? So I either see a lot of curved lines, I see a lot of organic shapes. You see more of an art element, if that makes sense, right? And that's what kind of makes it look put together. That's what makes it look balanced. That's what makes it look good, pleasing, right? There's a lot of elements happening, not principles, a lot of a specific type of element or elements, right? So I see a lot of curved lines, right? I see a lot of organic shapes that come from those curved lines, right? I see a lot of bright colors, a lot of red happening here, right? The more you see elements, the more it comes together. Does that make sense? So I think of it kind of like a sandbag almost, like the more sand, the heavier, the stronger the design is. The more of an element I see, if it's more of a color, more of a shape, more of a certain type of line, more of a texture, more of a space, because space can be like, I see more empty space than I do see filled in space. The more of something means harmony. Does that make sense? So when you see more of something, that's harmony. That's what brings it put together, right? So the variety is like the one thing that's like completely out of whack, that stands out, okay? And if you were to look at this image, you could argue that the one thing is completely out of whack, that is different, is probably the solid color black, right? You could say that, like, oh, hey, like, I see red, I see blue, I see yellow, I see primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, right? I see these really bright, colors, and then I see this really dark color that is black, that's the opposite to that, right? And that could be your variety. So the variety, the thing that makes it look cool, different, that makes it different, right, is that solid hit of black, right? And so because of that, that makes it different, and that what makes it stand out. That's the variety in the design. Does that kind of make sense? So when it comes to my deconstruction, I just ask those simple questions, right? I ask, what's the first thing I see, right? And that's your focal point. And I say, oh, what kind of contrast? Size, shape, color, or all? I answer that. Then I say symmetrical, asymmetrical. I answer that. And then I say scale and proportion. Oh, that's just easy, big and small. Harmony and variety is where it gets kind of interesting, right? Because then it's like harmony. Oh yeah, I gotta think about my art elements, and which is basically, where's that slide? I gotta think about my art elements, which is this, and I gotta say, oh, okay, wait. Do I see more of straight lines? Do I see more of organic shapes? That's where the thinking gets a little deeper. And then you see more of colors, more organic shape, more line, or geometric shape, depending, more empty space, more filled space, more textures. Does that make sense? So the harmony is where people get a little confused on average. And then variety basically means, oh, which one of these is like completely different? What's the one thing that just is completely doesn't, it's not a lot of, but it's only one element that's standing out in this design. Does that kind of make sense? So that's the breakdown. That's literally how the breakdown goes, okay? And the way we write it is just using that Jane Schaefer method, which is what we did together as a class, okay? So you take what you learned and you basically say sentence 1 and 2, green sentence, yellow sentence, they're exactly the same, right? What we just did together as a class is your red sentences, okay? So if I had to say the thing that you really got to focus on in your writing, it's the red part, okay? It's the red part. If you focus on the red, then you'll make the connection, okay? Because the 2 green sentences are pretty much the same in every slide. This image has principles of design. In conclusion, this image has principles of design. The yellow sentence is always the 6, right? Focal point, emphasis, balance, proportion, scale, harmony, variety, right? And the red is really where you got to work hard. You just have to say, first I see focal point, and second I see contrast of size, shape, or color. Third I see asymmetrical or symmetrical balance. Fourth I see proportion and scale. This is big, this is small. Harmony, I see a lot of this color, line, or shape. And variety, oh, this one thing is standing out. In variety, there's one splash of this color. In conclusion, there's multiple things. Does that make sense? So those 6 sentences in red is where you work the hardest, okay? So literally in like 10-15 minutes, that's what it is in a heartbeat, okay? If that helps you guys, you can give me a little thumbs up, because I want to make sure that this is making like complete sense when it comes to like that section there, okay? Okay, very cool. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open up lab time for everyone to work. There's a couple of folks that I haven't seen work from yet from our upload from Tuesday. So if you have some slides that you would like to share with me that you did not get a chance to share on Tuesday, and what I'm referring to is this link over here, the favorite principles of design slide. I'm going to give you the link. Please upload it, because tonight I'm definitely going to pull into a breakout room a couple of folks that I do not see their names here on this list, okay? So if you didn't upload something, or if you have an updated slide, let's go ahead and get that in right now. And then that way we can take a couple of minutes to talk about your work, okay? So I know like Stacy, I don't know if I saw a slide with your name on it, right? Mr. Green, I don't know if we saw anything on your file yet. So there's a few folks that are kind of on my radar that need to share with me some slides. So I'm going to be pulling you guys into a breakout room in a couple of seconds. And of course, if anyone wants to join me in the breakout room, we can talk as well and go that direction. Okay? Sound good? Okay. I definitely want to give you guys at least a good 2 hours plus to work on this. So we're going to jump into it. Okay. Let me create the breakout rooms. Go ahead and upload a slide if you still are pending on that slide. And I'm going to create the breakout room right now, so that if anyone would like to join me and kind of review some of their slides, that's great. There are a couple folks that I do want to talk to this evening, and so that's set there too. If you've already finished your slide, you're pretty much done for tonight, and have already uploaded it. So if you got the green light from me, then you can log out early, and then we'll see you next week. But mostly everyone is still working on it. So let me go ahead and activate my breakout room, and we'll get this going here. I'm going to call this one-on-one with Minna, and I'm going to set this up for 120 minutes at 2 hours, and I'll open it up for anyone that can join me in the breakout room. You can just click onto the button and we'll get you set up there. Okay. All right. Beautiful. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. we're gonna go on basically live, well, not live, but we're gonna basically work and do lab time. Do not log off just yet. Okay, let's give it about 30 minutes till the top of the hour before we can kind of let you guys loose. I just want to talk to a few folks before we kind of close it out. Okay, so I don't want to dismiss anyone until I get a chance to talk to those folks I haven't talked to yet. Okay, all right, very cool. All right, guys, so let me go ahead and pause the recording. Stick around and join me in the breakout room. If not, I'm going to put a couple of folks in there. So Stacy, I'm going to start off with you. I'm going to put you in the breakout room there. So we'll see you over there in a minute. And then Mr. Green, I'll get you next. Let's see. Kaiser, I didn't see any designs here too. So there's a few folks that I'm going to be clicking on so that we can get some information from them and seeing where they're at. Oh, where did Stacy go? Okay, we lost Stacy. All right, Mr. Green, you're up. I'm going to put you in the breakout room really quick, and then we'll talk right now. Okay, and I'll meet you over there momentarily. And if Stacy comes back, then she'll join us there too. Okay. Okay. And if you haven't uploaded a slide, guys, please go ahead and do so. That way, at least I can see that we have some something to kind of compare it with, so we can see some of your work. Okay. Cool. All right. Now I'll pause it, and then we'll see everybody. I'll talk with everyone in just a few minutes. I'll be in and out in just a few. All right. Here we go. We're in lab time. Forward. Okay, so majority of the folks in class, which are about 18, 20 of us, are here. There's two or three folks that are absent that probably are going to need a few minutes of my time at the beginning of class next week. But I'm pretty confident that everyone's going to be complete by next Tuesday. Here's the question. Do we need the first hour of class to finish the assignment, like, you know, the first half, so to speak? And then we kick off going through like real basic Illustrator overview. We're going to do the toolbar naming exercise where we're naming the parts of the toolbar. So really about Thursday of next week is when we actually kick off the program. So are we good to have the assignment complete at least after, during the first half of class? So basically by the first half of class, everything's set. If it is, you can give me a thumbs up emoji. Or are we going to be done by the end of Tuesday, all the slides, because we need that time? So maybe we can type that in instead. Like, how many of you guys will be done by first half? You can type in, I'll be done by first half. If you guys need to take the whole session on Tuesday to complete the assignment, maybe type in that you need the whole session to complete it as well, because I know everyone has different work schedules and things like that. But I want to know if you'll be done before, during class, or at the end of class on Tuesday on the assignment. That way I can kind of see where we need to start on Illustrator, running the basics there. Class time, okay. So then, yeah, I plan to be done by class time on Tuesday. Class time meaning the beginning of class or by the end of class, you're saying, Danielle? So might finish the slides before then. I'll be done before. Okay, at the beginning of class, okay. And then the rest of the class, probably be done before or during, okay. Before Tuesday, done before, and set you up there, okay. So then what I'll do on Tuesday is that I'll go over the intro, which is basically like labeling the parts of Illustrator. We'll go over real basic introductory Illustrator. I'll begin the assignment exercise, which is like labeling the parts. We might get into the face brushes using the brush tool into that time. So I'll kind of release those two, okay? And then for those folks that are done early, you can work on that for the rest of the evening, okay? And then for the rest of the class, then you have obviously till the end of the session to get the writing samples done. Obviously, I'll have it recorded, so then you guys will be caught up, you know, either way. So if you're done by the first half, I'll have a video ready to go. If you're done by the end, we'll still have the video and you can catch up for, like, you know, Thursday / into the following weekend. Okay, so we'll do it that way. It's a really simple start to understand the tools, and we start to increase complexity after that. Okay, so first exercise is here's the names of the tools. Cool. Then it's I'm gonna draw a face using the brush tool and alter the different widths of the brush. Cool. Everyone can do that very simply. Once we're done with that, then we get into pen tool, and then we start going really high up on the tool and building and drawing and tracing. So we're gonna do that for next week. Okay. So we're gonna be in it. We're gonna be finally hitting that Illustrator program, and we're gonna be loaded with theory. We're gonna be loaded with economics and principles. We already did a lot of stuff on the front end. Okay. And our system should be ready to go, and our computer should be ready to go. Our Illustrator program should be installed and ready to go by next week, and we're in. So after that, we're all in and we're drawing. Okay. So I'm excited for that. So we'll be rocking and rolling there. Okay, that'll be our game plan. All right, guys. So then you guys are basically can use the rest of the night to work on your assignments. Kaiser, Alex, or Angel, excuse me, stick around so we can talk in the breakout room. But the rest of the class, please continue to use your lab time. You can log off now on Zoom, but please continue to work, obviously, until end of class session. And if you need anything, email me or come back to the Zoom chat. We'll see you then on Tuesday. Okay. All right.
Bye. I'll see you on Tuesday, Professor.
All right, Laker. We'll see you then. All right, guys. Enjoy the weekend. Okay. And thank you for all the hard work. Appreciate it.
You have a good weekend as well, Professor.
You too, James. We'll see you then. Appreciate it,
Yeah,
guys.
see you. Yeah,
Hey.
I already submitted my assignment too.
So you're good.
I finished it.
Yeah, you're perfect. You're good there. Kaiser, we'll talk really quick. Can you hear me as well, sir? Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I didn't upload it, but I do have the first slide done.
You do have the first slide done? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you share the link with me, or are you okay with screenshotting and sending it over?
Do you want me to share the screen right now, or would you rather me send it over?
You know what? Let's share the screen. If it's easier for you to do that, I'm going to set it up for multiple participants. So you can go ahead and share it now, and then we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, it's starting up. Okay. So then, and in terms of your timing, are you okay between now and next week, or are you kind of managing your time with multiple classes right now? And before you answer that, let me go ahead and stop the recording really quick, and then we'll talk really quick about that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.